Starry-eyed rumblings.
Head spinning, Helix Bane isn't quite sure which way is up or which way is down, which rules out any attempt to move to safety. Remembering the appearance of her surroundings, she shifts, camouflaging and hopefully hiding from Licky. In her current state, she is unable to hold a partial shift as before, but simply hopes shifting itself will offer some level of protection. The twisting and warping sensation of the shift is still beyond that veil of alien pain, but it's creeping closer. A good thing. The harsh experience of shifting is one that Helix Bane has become accustomed to. That the painful and disorientating sensation of shifting is creeping back through the veil of pain means returning to normality and her usual equilibrium. At least she hopes. She isn't totally idle. Helix Bane keeps a part of her awareness on sensing the mental comb of the brain liquor. She lies there, not out of choice, but because doing anything else simply is not possible. Not, that is, until this debilitating and unnatural sensation passes. 1,000 shivers run through Helix Bane. A feeling akin to a shiver running up the spine that takes the breath away. That sensation replicated across every inch of skin, muscle, nerve and bone, all simultaneously. The comb passes over her. Helix Bane remains where she is a little longer. 10 minutes pass, and the shiver repeats, coming from the same direction both times. Helix Bane gets to her feet and immediately moves in the direction she felt the comb coming from. In her mind, she imagines the comb similar to that of a parent combing their child's hair in search of nits, or someone standing over a model of the research vessel and using a fine comb through each corridor. In Helix Bane's mind at least, it would be most natural to start from the source and then comb outwards. Hopefully, combing the area to enact mental torment follows a similar principle. Helix Bane makes it to the end of the corridor, where it turns left, and that's where she meets her next complication. Footsteps. 3 or 4 pairs. Military. She calmly puts her back against the wall, remains camouflaged, and prepares to ambush them as they come running round the corner. She can't help but have a wicked grin across her face. She's always had a soft spot for ambushes. The first victim, always oblivious to their fate before it's too late. The second and third also, if the ambush is executed well. The sudden realization that dawns on the 4th and 5th. Watching them trying to assess the situation. All too late. Alas, it seems they're not amateurs. They don't come running around the corner, head first. They set up shop around the corner, perhaps understanding there is only one reasonable, one sensible way out. Well then, Helix Bane thinks, if they are waiting for her to make the first move, she'll take her time. Helix Bane coats her skin with a viscous acid that feels like a slimy jelly that clings stubbornly and painfully to her skin. Then she begins to climb up the wall. The pressure on the jelly that sticks her to the wall oozes a persistent burning sensation. As she makes it to the top of the ceiling and looks around the corner, she sees 3 soldiers, all in worthy Foundation attire. She also can't help but notice and admire how well equipped they are. The armor doesn't bother her so much, but the kinetic weapons they are carrying do. One meaningful strike from a kinetic weapon on an unarmored individual will break them in two and leave one half splattered across the wall. And presently, Helix Bane is simply standing in her skin. No armor to speak of. Perhaps of greater concern than the weapons is the goggles. The soldier wielding a kinetic axe is wearing a pair of luminescent goggles. Although Helix Bane has never seen such goggles before, she's going to take a wild guess that they are to spot unseen foes, like herself. Helix Bane is forced to wait a lot longer than she would have liked. Goggles scans the area periodically, while the other two watch both ends of the corridor. It leaves very little opportunity for Helix Bane to sneak up on any of them. When the opportunity finally comes, it is a short one. Goggles steps away from the other twos for just a few moments to make sure that there's nothing lurking around in the operations room. Helix Bane moves immediately, crawling along the ceiling as quickly and as quietly as she can manage. Her plan was to fall back on her favorite maneuver. Get directly above the target, drop, and kill. Unfortunately, it seems the soldiers' goggles do most of the perceiving for them. They only stop briefly at the operations room, turning their head this way and that to scan the whole room. Then, they immediately start heading back, scanning left, scanning right, and then scanning up. Helix Bane launches herself forward, towards the group of two, as Goggles spots her and begins to raise her weapon. She aims for the closest of the two, hoping to kill one before they get the warning. She's too slow. As soon as she lands, the soldier drops to a knee and slams the pommel of their weapon through the air around them, making sure the area is clear. It isn't. Helix Bane's thigh is in the way, and the pommel of the weapon connects soundly. The power of the strike sends her tumbling to the ground. The soldier calls out. Cloaked. 1, you got eyes? 10 o'clock. As her back hits the ground, Helix Bane guesses she's at 10 o'clock. And she gets flashbacks to her fight with Prime. On her back, being beaten down. How far she's fallen from her previous prowess. The knowledge slides into her mind that she is rusted, weakened, and fragile. No longer the indomitable hunter. Hell to that. She hisses as she shoves herself back to her feet, spinning as she does so. A vice slams shut on her arm, crushing bones and setting nerve endings on fire as she shifts her arm into a blade and arcs it through the air, on a trajectory to decapitate the first soldier's head. The soldier's block was excellent. They judged and moved perfectly. Helix Bane's sword arm cuts, slices right through the kinetic sword, armor, and neck of the soldier, as if they were air. Blood sprays. There are some benefits to being an abomination. Helix Bane steps forward, but her struck leg gives way, still numb from the earlier attack. She collapses, but manages to do so while directing the body of the headless soldier to splatter across the other two with the gushing blood. Helix Bane hits the ground, rolls, and ends by sweeping out her sword arm half a meter off the ground. 2 feet part ways with their corresponding legs. A little of her old confidence creeps back in, and now sitting on her haunches, looking directly at Goggles. She holds out her sword arm immediately after finishing her low sweeping attack, allowing the now footless and collapsing soldier to decapitate themselves on the sword arm. Goggles curses and lifts their axe. Helix Bane remains crouched. Her fighting experience tells her from this distance and angle. Goggles will likely have to kick out with their legs or swing down, giving a good estimation of his next move. To their credit, they mix it up. They feint a kick and then swing down with the axe, aiming to split Helix Bane's head open. Going for the kill then, Helix Bane thinks. Until now the movements have seemed non-lethal, aiming to capture rather than to kill. Helix Bane swivels, right, then leaps forward. The elbow is waiting, and Helix Bane only manages to angle the flat of her sword arm up to defend. The elbow connects and pushes Helix Bane's sword arm into her own chest. It cuts effortlessly. Helix Bane manages to drop the shift before she completely decapitates herself, and ignoring the acidic blood now pouring down her chest, and reaching out, clamps both hands on the man's exposed skin right below the goggles. No doubt he was ready for a grapple, but he wasn't ready for his skin to start burning and boiling. He cries out in surprise and begins to stumble backwards, grasping hold of Helix Bane's arms and trying to pry her hands away. She doesn't let go. Instead, she begins to squeeze her fingers beneath the goggles and into the soldier's eyes. The muffled cries soon stop.